Cricket is my passion and I cannot avoid it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Cricket Unplugged. India were trounced yesterday once again by the bogey team New Zealand. They were expected to bounce back after their first defeat, but I'm afraid India were beaten soundly. To discuss about what happened yesterday in the match at Dubai, we have the legendary Shane Watson from Australia. Welcome to the show, Shane.
Anis, thank you so much for having me again.
The pleasure is all ours, Shane. Trust me, we had done the pre-match and we expected India to bounce back. But sadly, it was the other way, New Zealand being the bogey team, once again beating India quite soundly.
Yes, I know. It was very disappointing outing for all of Indian cricket lovers and fans. India, as soon as they got put into bat, then they just weren't able to get into the game. There were little moments of time when KL really took down Adam Milne for that one over. But then from that moment on, it just seemed like I just keep questioning the wicket and how it's playing when you bat first. When the teams are batting first, it just looks like there's enough in the wicket, whether there's just a little bit of extra moisture at the top of the surface as the game starts. And as the game gets deeper into it, it seems like it just plays a lot better. And unfortunately, New Zealand, for India's side of things, New Zealand bowled very well. They were very accurate with the new ball. And every time the Indian batsman tried to take the game on, the ball went straight to the fielders. So Ishan Kishan, he got a ball that, he picked it up off his pads, went straight down a deep square leg. Either side, it's 4 or 6. And the same with KL, picked it up straight down the fielder's throat. So it's just one of those days for India that you wish didn't happen, and little things sort of went into the gaps or they just dropped short. But it's just one of those days where everything went to hand. As soon as India went to take on the game, they just weren't able to execute exactly right. And then the ball just went straight into the wrong hands. So it was just one of those days where India certainly, yes, they were a little bit tentative after they lost a few wickets, but you understand that. But as soon as the Indian batsmen started to go at the New Zealand bowlers, New Zealand was certainly up to the task. They bowled very, very nicely, and their variation of their attack as well meant that they were able to make the most of their game plan and their matchups to different types of batsmen. But India just weren't able to get going, unfortunately.
Spot on, Shane. I'll come on the topic of the wicket, but before that, like you mentioned, that India were a little tentative, of course, after losing wickets. But if you must have noticed, the spinners, especially Santner and Sodhi, were all over Indian batsmen. I did not see any of the players using their feet. Do you feel when the spinners are bowling the right length, why not you use your feet?
Yeah, different batsmen have different skill sets, and for me, I never use my feet. I hardly ever use my feet. I always stood from the crease because that was what I was most comfortable doing. But a lot of the Indian batsmen definitely use their feet. That's their skill, to be able to get out and change the length of the bowler or sit back deep in their crease. And yes, like Virat Kohli, even the shot that he got out on, it was great intent that he showed. But in the past, I've seen him use his feet on that ball, for example, and hit that dead straight instead of sort of going like a bit of a slog sweep. But I'll never question Virat Kohli because he's the best batsman of his generation. So, but just there was a couple of instances like that where you could just see whether it was the wicket and just they weren't super confident with how the ball was coming through, but also the occasion. It was New Zealand were really suffocating the Indian batsmen throughout the whole innings. And also it being not a knockout game officially, but being a big match in this tournament for both teams. And India batting first, you could tell they were just a little bit tentative as well. So all of those sort of perfect storm in a way just meant that New Zealand were able to capitalise on the conditions and on their ability to be able to bowl really well against India. And yeah, unfortunately, the Indian batsmen just weren't able to adapt quick enough to be able to find the middle of the bat consistently and to be able to get a total that their bowlers might be able to defend.
I now want to come on the point of the wicket. Like you mentioned, that batting first seems to be so difficult. Like we saw West Indies folding to 55, Australia having a tough time against England, and then again India, like you said, New Zealand bowlers suffocated. Is that so difficult batting first, or are the opposition so good? How would you sum it up?
Well, first of all, I have to make the point of the bowlers have been bowling very well. So even the England and Australia game, the England quicks bowled exceptionally well. They were super accurate. Wokes and Jordan in particular, they were super accurate. So they made the most of the conditions they had. And the same with New Zealand last night. They hardly bowled a loose ball whatsoever. So that's the first point. But the second one is there is these batsmen that are out there batting. They are the best in the world. And you can see that no batsman is going out there and being able to find the middle of the bat. So for me, when I see that, it means there's something going on in the wicket. It's not just, yes, it's high quality bowling, but it's not just the bowling. There's something in the wicket that just means that they aren't able to find their timing. There's a little bit of two pace, or the ball's just holding in the wicket a little bit, or just bouncing a little bit more. So it just shows by batsmen not being able to go in, no batsman been able to go in and really find the middle of the bat straight up. For me, that means that there's something going on the wicket, just enough. So, and you can see that in every game, really, that the teams that batted first, there's just, yes, there's a tentative, the batsman a little bit tentative anyway because of the occasion. But it's not every batsman goes in and can't find the middle of the bat. These are the best batsmen in the world. So that for me, I just keep asking, it keeps going in my head. There must be something going on the wicket that means that there's something, the confidence in the batsman is not there to be able to hit through the line of the ball, and no one's able to go in and find the middle of the bat. And again, taking nothing away from the bowlers, because they have been exceptional in these games. They have not made an error really at all. But still, these are the best batsmen in the world. On a wicket that's very true, these guys are finding the middle of the bats.
Like you're right, Rishabh Pant, 19 balls, 12 runs. Hardik Pandya, 24 balls, 23 runs. Ravindra Jadeja, 19 balls, 26 runs. Generally, you see this batsman playing so well when they are set. But like you mentioned, that no batsman could find the middle of the bat. But when you come to bat second, you could see the guys like Mitchell and everybody and Gaptil just hit through the line. So definitely batting becomes easier.
It's becoming easier. It also helps when you're chasing a smaller total. Because when you're batting first, you never know how much is enough. You're always thinking that you'll need 160, 170 as a minimum. Because especially knowing how the wicket is in the second innings, you know it's easier to bat. So when you're batting first, you feel like you do have to go hard. So batting second, like New Zealand did last night, there was no pressure on them to score at all. The Indians, Virat Kohli really threw all the big guns at New Zealand straight up, with Bumrah bowling a big amount of overs in the power play. Same with Chakravarti, the Indians wicket takers, to be able to try and get into that New Zealand batting order. And New Zealand could just sit a little bit. Yes, they played some nice shots as well. They could sit and then just wait for one or two of the bowlers to be able to line up. And then it just seems like, even with Daryl Mitchell, he just, within a couple of overs, he was able to feel more confident to be able to hit through the line and find the middle of the bat. So again, that's just the two things: chasing a smaller total, so the pressure's not on to be able to have to score. But then with that, the batsmen do seem like it's easy to be able to hit through the line of the ball, like it was the night before with Jason Roy and Josh Butler. Gosh, a couple of shots that they both played on the ball just coming through off the quicks, it came through nicely and they were able to swing through the line and find the middle of the bat. So that, again, that's for me. That's why I keep coming back to the question of how true is a wicket in the first innings? It just seems like it's not true enough. And then when you're chasing a smaller total, it just plays into the hands of the batting team, because they know they don't really have to take on the game until they feel like there is one specific bowler who they can take on.
I will come back to this point again when we speak for the next game against when India plays. But now India are in a precarious position. They've still not been knocked out, but their net run rate is minus 1609, whereas New Zealand is 0.7. So one is negative, one is positive. Now, India, of course, has two loose games. When I say two loose games, two weaker teams, that is Namibia and Scotland. And if India can put it across Afghanistan emphatically, and if Afghanistan can upset New Zealand, I wouldn't say use the word upset, but Afghanistan has the potential. Do you think India can still go through, or should they have the belief, or they should just now give it up?
Oh no, India still have to have a belief. You never know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of the game of cricket. You never know exactly what's going to happen, and you're always if there's a chance, there's still a small opportunity for you to be able to get through and just fall across the line into the finals. So no, absolutely. India has still got so much to play for. Yes, because of this loss. And again, they'll keep coming back to batting first. It's been every team. It's been Australia. It's been the West Indies. And as soon as you lose so dramatically, then especially because of the net run rate, it means that you have to win and win incredibly well and rely on other results to go your way to be able to make the semis, which is disappointing because games shouldn't exactly be like that, especially in a T20 World Cup. But anyway, moving away from that, yes, India, there's still a chance for sure. Afghanistan, they're a very dangerous side with their ability, with their batting. They've got some firepower, and they've got firepower with the spin department as well. So you never know what can happen. That's for sure. And India are a world-class team. Yes, they've had 2 games that haven't gone exactly to plan at all, but they've got the ability, and they've got the ability, and they always have bounced back. So that's the skill of this Indian team. They do have great resilience to be able to just absorb what's going on, reset, and go again. And they're going to have to do that.
Well, I'm maybe too optimistic as an Indian fan, but the advantage India has is that they play the last game of the tournament against Namibia. And by any chance, if Afghanistan are able to beat New Zealand, then they have a target that they need to finish the match in so many overs or probably restrict the opposition.
Exactly right. And you have to be optimistic. That's the that's the beauty of this game. And life in general is you have to be optimistic. You have to see the bright side to it. And absolutely, India playing that last game, they are going to know exactly what the equation is going to be for them to be able to get into the semi-finals. So that is a massive advantage for India. And in the lead up to that, they just have to really nail every aspect of the game. They have to play the perfect, really 60 overs 120 overs over the next 3 games for them to give themselves a chance to be able to get into those semi-finals. And there is no doubt that India have got that in them. They can have the perfect game. They've got the skills. They've got all the players to be able to bring that all together and make sure that they execute every single aspect of their game. And they've got nothing to lose. That has to happen. So when you've got nothing to lose, that's when a lot of the time, unfortunately, you have that freedom to go, you know what, if it doesn't work, I don't care. I've just got to take the game on. And that's when you have that freedom in your mind, that's normally when you see some incredible performances. So that's why I'm certainly not discounting India at all. With that freedom of their mind, of nothing to lose, and that fearlessness, it's dangerous.
I'm sure all the Indian fans who will listen to this show will be optimistic as Shane Watson and I am. And we hope that India will bounce back in the 3rd game against Afghanistan. And probably Afghanistan can put one across New Zealand. We'll have to wait and watch and be optimistic as Shane and myself are. Thank you so much, very much for your time, Shane. And we look forward to catching up with you before the match against Afghanistan.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, Anis. Great to chat.
Take care, my dear.